Marve, can you hear me? Before the coronavirus pandemic, most of us hadn't even heard of Zoom. Now it's become one of the most popular video conferencing tools in the world, enabling millions of people to work, study, and even socialize from home.
What we found, we were very glad we used Zoom, and we only used the free version of it as well, is that it gave us the ability to have our whole class on the screen at the same time and interact with the children. And I think the very, very big plus of it was we have small classes in the school that I was teaching at. So you had all your children online and you had very, very strong relationship with them.
The number of companies with at least 10 employees using the Zoom paid subscription has gone up from just over 66,000 last year to 370,000 this year. And that translates to soaring profits. The company's revenues rose a whopping 355% to $663 million this year, surpassing analysts' predictions of $500 million. And soon, for the first time, Zoom is expected to be valued at $100 billion. That's more than the combined values of General Motors, Ford, and American and United Airlines. Part of Zoom's appeal is that it is multifunctional and easy to use.
So guys, I know it's just 3 of us in this meeting right now, but did you know with Zoom you can have up to 100 people in every meeting, and it can go on for 40 minutes.
Now, if any of you are getting bored, you can always mute me or mute yourselves.
Or if you really wanted to, you can even switch off your camera. No, I didn't mean right now, Afsal. No, Afsal, come back. The meeting isn't over. Afsal? I think he's gone for lunch.
But Zoom hasn't been without its problems. There have been concerns over privacy and security, and it's having to compete with rivals such as Microsoft's Teams and Cisco Systems WebEx. But all these applications have proved to be useful learning tools in their own right.
We were just watching them day by day develop their skills. You know, at first they were a little bit nervous, we were a little bit nervous, but by the end of the second week, they were just masters of sharing the screen, interacting on the screen, typing in the chat box, giving us technical advice. So it was really, I think it saved our online education platform.
With fears that the pandemic could last much longer, many companies are planning to keep their employees at home for quite some time. So what was once just a technical substitute has now become a vital part of day-to-day life. Shamim Chowdhury, TRT World, Istanbul.
Well, for more on this, let's go to Bob O'Donnell in Foster City, California. He's the president, founder and chief analyst at TECHnalysis Research. Welcome back to the program. Now, we know that Zoom really has been this corporate success story, turning itself from this niche service into one that primary school kids and grandparents are downloading all over the world. But the question always was, will it manage to convert its free subscribers into paid subscribers? And it seems to have done that, hasn't it?
It sure does. I mean, if you look at the results that they announced yesterday, I mean, it was impressive across the board. Expectations were high and they blew away even those high expectations. I mean, it's clear people need these kinds of services. And to Zoom's credit, they've become, you know, sort of the brand associated with it. They've just like Google became a verb, Zoom has become a verb. You know, we're going to be Zooming with each other and what have you. They've managed to pull off a pretty amazing feat from a branding perspective. And they've done exactly what you said. I mean, they've taken companies, large companies, small and medium companies. In fact, the biggest growth, frankly, was in the small and medium companies from Zoom's earnings, and convert them into paying customers because, you know, there are certain things of value that you do have to pay for with Zoom, things like recording meetings. So if you want to be able to go back and look at those, support for longer meetings, support for more people in meetings. These are critical things that businesses are like, yeah, I've got to pay for that. And to them, it's, if you think about it, it's trivial because if they didn't have these kind of capabilities, they wouldn't be able to function. Now, it is a very competitive environment. You mentioned it. You know, obviously, you've got Microsoft Teams, you've got WebEx, you've got Google's got Google Meet. You've got other platforms as well, Blue Jeans. I mean, there's a ton of these platforms out there. The good news is because there are so many out there, they're all competing with each other and they're improving at a tremendous pace, faster than we've seen any product category improve. Yes. Is teleconferencing software.
That's right. And of course, we're all hoping for this pandemic to be over sooner rather than later. And we know this business, Zoom, has benefited from the outbreak. Do you think if and when this pandemic does come to an end, will it be able to sustain these massive profit outlooks and revenue outlooks after the crisis is over?
Well, it's a great question. And look, we know, it's going to end at some point. But the bottom line is what's not going to end is some of the revised work habits that we've developed. I think what's interesting about, what's happening with Zoom and with these other platforms is a lot of companies have recognized that these are things that they could continue to use even in a non-pandemic world, because we're seeing companies for example, start to have here in the U.S., people are moving to other cities that are less expensive than it is here in Silicon Valley. And so therefore, they're going to always have to be able to call in. And so it opens up the opportunity for companies to hire people in different parts of the world or in different parts of the country, and places that may be a little bit less expensive to live and yet still work for high-tech companies. And even in non-high-tech companies, it's giving people more flexibility to occasionally work at home, because I think a lot of people have recognized that there are absolutely benefits to that. So long answer to a short question, but yes, I do think we're going to see this continue. Now, are they going to see these kind of growth rates continue? Obviously not. At a certain point, the law of big numbers kicks in and you can't have those kind of crazy growth rates. But will it be at a high sustainable rate? I think it will be.
Okay, Bob O'Donnell from TECHnalysis Research, thank you again for joining us on the program.